Hey everybody. So I've been working on some different DevNet projects and kind of wanted to take it to the next level and start doing some different cloud things. So what I actually found is this Meraki Adventure Lab. So I've got some different Meraki dashboards set up and I've been tinkering with WebEx Teams bots, but I wanted to do some more integrated projects with that. And what I actually found out here is we have several pre-made labs out here on Google Drive that you can walk through step by step. You don't need any experience programming, any experience with cloud, any experience with WebEx Teams. This will walk you through step by step, super easy. And the end result is you have a WebEx Teams bot that can pull out to your Meraki dashboard and get things like device statuses, camera snapshots, so on and so forth. So with that said, let's talk about the tools I was using to do this. I love changing up my programming tools every 3 months just to shake things up and keep it interesting. This week, I'm using VS Code and also the AWS Lambda extension. This is great because I have a local repo with my code in it. I can upload it into AWS real time, run it from here, or run it from AWS. With that said, on the AWS side, we're using AWS Lambda for a serverless, just script running, command running, serverless application. Let's kind of draw out exactly how this works because it took me a little while to wrap my head around it, honestly. There's a few moving parts here. I'm so used to just running scripts off of my laptop that I wasn't quite prepared for the cloud. And with that said, you can use any cloud provider you want for this. It doesn't have to be AWS. There's instructions within the adventure guide for GCP. Some of Joe's projects he's been doing Azure, so we can do any of it. Up here, we got AWS Lambda. This is my Mac. I have terrible handwriting. You just have to deal with it. And then up here, we've got our WebEx bot. It's kind of hanging out there. So for my Mac, my WebEx Teams client, I send a message to the WebEx bot. Our WebEx bot has a webhook built into it that we added as part of the Adventure Lab. That webhook reaches out to AWS Lambda. Specifically, this is what they call an API trigger. And then that API trigger comes back to a Lambda function, is what they call them within AWS. Every cloud provider you go with is going to be a different nomenclature, but they all typically kind of work the same. So I send my pre-canned message to WebEx Teams bot. He sends that onto the API trigger and the function. The function digests what I put into that IM and then reaches out to, I almost forgot the most important part.
Yeah, I was going to say the Meraki cloud needs to be in there. That's where we're pulling all the status and information from. So we need to make sure we have that.
Out to the Meraki cloud. So we have API calls into our Meraki dashboard. Meraki dashboard sends whatever data was requested back to the function. The function sends that back out through the API trigger into my WebEx Teams bot, and he sends me an IM back. There's a lot of arrows. But like I said, there's lots of moving parts here. So
there's lots of ways to do this, guys, but the big thing here is this one's fairly complex because it's a two-way street. So a lot of the basic functions that you guys will find are mostly one way, whereas if like you're using a Postman tool, which is one of the other tools that you guys can use as you start your DevNet journey. But the idea there is it's a one-way communication. So you would run a GET request or POST request, whichever it may be, from your local machine, or you could do it from within AWS. But this one actually is a two-way webhook. So you're actually using the WebEx Cloud to pull information from Meraki via AWS, but it is also two ways in the aspect of you can push information and pull it. So that's kind of the big thing to remember here when we're doing this Adventure API lab.
Yeah, a lot of my first example API calls into Meraki using Postman would use this route down here at the bottom, just straight into the Meraki cloud, straight back out. Similarly, some of the first WebEx Teams bots I did were just two-way right here into WebEx and back. where I just query a bot and he sends me a message back. Very simple. So we added in a few more parts, but it gives us a lot of flexibility. And since it's in the cloud, it doesn't rely on my laptop being up to operate.
And these adventure labs are vague enough that you learn kind of as you go on this. You learn how to tie some of the pieces together, both within AWS. You learn some of the Meraki nomenclature around their API, the WebEx Teams API, but at the same time, it's helpful enough to keep you going. So that's what's really nice about doing these labs is it's a learning experience from really all three products.
Yeah, you really don't have to know anything going into it. So, kind of explained how it worked. I'm not going to walk through all the code, but let's go ahead and do a dry run into the Meraki bot and see what happens. So first, we're just going to query for the status of our Meraki devices in our dashboard. And for this example here, we're just using a Meraki demo dashboard, not my home one. We get all sorts of info back from this. We can also take it a step further and pull down camera snapshots.
Throw in some dad jokes here and there, and it's all the fun.
Blood orange, nice. I'll have to use that one around the Christmas dinner table. So we pull down a snapshot from our Meraki camera. On the back end, we also queried AWS recognition to pull out labels within that snapshot. So not only are we getting a picture, we're getting what is in that picture. In this case, with confidence scores. So we're 97% sure there's a car there, 96% sure there's a plant, so on and so forth. But this is just the tip of the iceberg with what you could do with some of these different WebEx bots and different API calls.
Yeah, so this is the pre-canned Meraki bot. We'll be sharing with you next time. We've got a bot built internally that will do webhook alerting. So it'll provide various information, and you guys can configure it. But it's going to pull your host name, what the alert is, what the severity of it is, what the serial number is, and really just give you alerts within a specific WebEx space. So that'll be next time. But Jay, is there anything else you wanted to cover on this one?
That's it. I'll drop a link to the Meraki Adventure Labs in the YouTube description. We'll see you.
Thanks, guys.